こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、サッカー日本代表に関する動画です。サッカー日本代表はワールドカップに向けた親善試合で、メキシコと対戦し、0対0のスコアレスドローで終わりました。期待とは裏腹に、少しモヤモヤ感が残るような内容でしたが、皆さんはいかがだったでしょうか。Give and Goのチャンネルのレビュー動画では、スコアレスドローという結果を勝ち取ったメキシコを称賛し、日本の問題は、決定力だけ、だと話しています。試合前には急造のディフェンス陣が一番の心配とされていましたが、ディフェンス良し、中盤良し、ビルドアップもチャンスメイクも良し、足りないのは決定力だけ、だと話しています。実際にこの試合をどのように見たのか、チェックしてみましょ
う。Mexico versus Japan in Oakland. I was excited for this one because it's a tough opponent, and this Japanese squad that's been building towards the World Cup has already qualified for the World Cup and has some really good players, as we saw today. But ultimately, man, this result ends in a 0-0 result. No goals for either side, with half chances, you could say, for both teams at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, it's truly not a lot of true goal-scoring opportunities here. Suzuki had to make one big save. Malagon had to make one, maybe two big saves himself. And that was pretty much it for the entire 90 minutes. Japan had a lot of the ball. Their ball movement was mesmerizing at times. But once it got to that final third, that Mexican defense showed up and they couldn't generate any sort of clean-cut opportunity. And for Mexico, what really frustrated me was the front three, specifically Alvarado and Vega, just could not get going in this match. The result ends up being a stalemate.
That's the most frustrating part for sure. I think it's the winger play from the players that start in that position. But I like this result. I like it. I feel good leaving this match as a Mexico fan. I've said it every single time we talk about Mexico. It's never going to be pretty when it comes to getting results. It's never going to be pretty, flashy football that you're going to see from this Mexican side. Instead, you see a team that is very defensive-minded and thinks defense first when going into a game. I think today showed it because, yes, we couldn't find that goal at the end of the day, but we kept it close. We kept it tight. Japan could not break us despite their great individual brilliance that we saw. And Mexico did have a couple half chances, one off of a set piece, off the lead-out header that could have, on a different day, gone into the back of the net. And then that miscommunication with Berterame and whoever that player was behind him, that could have ended up in a really positive opportunity there for Mexico. But that's kind of how I see us playing against teams that are in the top 15 rankings of the world, is a game like this where we don't outpossess them, we don't outplay them on the pitch, but honestly, we just play good defense. We wait for the chance of having maybe one or two chances to break the deadlock, and that's ultimately how we get our results here. If this was a World Cup game and we tied Japan, I'd be happy.
No, absolutely. I'm with you. I think this is a good result. The game itself went exactly how I thought it would. I just wish we got more from the wing play. That's pretty much it. But you're right. It's not necessarily what Aguirre is going to hope for. He kind of knows what he has out on those wings, and he's going to rely on the defense, which definitely showed up today. And Montes even going the extra mile and making sure that Mexico didn't lose this game. It's a great play. Gets a red card, but he saves the result. It ends 0-0. I think for me, a big standout, though, on a positive note, is Marcel Ruiz. I'm fully convinced now.
It's his spot now.
There's no more debate. There's no more concerns when it comes to who's going to be that midfielder alongside Edson, who unfortunately got injured today. But for me, it's Marcel Ruiz. He played great. If anything, he could have been inserted into that Japanese midfield and played just as fluidly.
I think so, man, because you were seeing how the Japanese would turn on the ball. It was incredible, bro. They would receive it in the middle of the pitch, and I feel like they had 3 or 4 different players that had the ability to just receive it under pressure and turn. But Mexico responded with Marcel Ruiz, who I think under pressure was phenomenal today. And I had highlighted that as an important narrative going into this international break for Mexico, was Marcel Ruiz solidifying that spot. When you see Charlie get subbed in for him at the 80th minute, it almost felt like a passing of the guard, man. Like, it felt like this time it's Marcel Ruiz playing 80 minutes and Charlie coming on rather than the other way around. Gilberto Mora being that final piece to the midfield to add more attacking prominence, and I think that'll be Mexico's go-to midfield going into the World Cup. But yes, Edson goes off injured, man. He goes off injured, which is, I guess, ultimately always a concern with Edson. He plays so many games for Mexico, and he does have a habit of getting injured, unfortunately.
Yeah, my only thought here is, I guess better now in the fall than in the spring. Mm-hmm. That's like the only thing that's going through my head right now. So let's get the injury out of the way, Edson, and then let's try to be healthy going into 2026.
Thoughts on the minutes that we saw from Chiquito Sanchez, Chucky Lozano, Santi Jimenez, and Berterame, 4 major subs coming on, and it did feel like offensively that shifted the playing field a little bit. Chucky had somewhat of a half chance there where the commentator was giving me goosebumps with the way he was building it up. Chucky found himself in space for just a minute, and I saw something that shouldn't have been seen. I saw Chucky scoring a banger, giving us the victory and the comeback, the return of Chucky Lozano being solidified. That's what I saw.
It could have been a moment of pure glory for Lozano, a return, if you will, but it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. He only had like 20 minutes to really make an impact. Honestly, I wish Lozano and Berterame had more time. I wish maybe, 30 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes to really see the impact that they could have had. But immediately after that Lozano chance, Berterame had his chance where he had to quickly turn, kind of rush the shot, ends up going wide. But on another day, I think Mexico puts in one of these chances, or maybe if Raul was still on the pitch, maybe one of those shots goes in through him. So it's a good performance from Mexico. Nothing really to criticize here. They ultimately shut out basically Asia's best team.
That's true. And when you look at Japan, I think this game does prove, though, that they struggle against a low block. They struggle against a team that's solidified in defense. We've seen it in games against Australia in that region. Japan's a team that I think in AFC qualification over 10 games scored 32 goals, man. One of the highest scoring teams in all of Asia. But when it comes to teams of this caliber, even a Mexico side that doesn't have much offense but is really strong on their defense, Japan struggles. They cannot break that type of defense. What's going to happen if they get faced off against a Germany, a France, a Portugal, or even just a team like Ecuador, for example? I don't know if I see Japan anymore being able to take over those type of teams, whereas I was a little bit higher on them in the past.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I'm not high on Japan going into this World Cup. They have great players individually, and they play good as a team. They can compete against pretty much any team out there, but their chance conversion is super low when they play against a defensive team. And we saw it today against Mexico. We've seen it throughout World Cup qualifying against Saudi Arabia and Australia. This is a pattern for Japan, and it's gone back all the way since the AFC Asian Cup. They struggle. They really do. They have a lot of good playmakers, but no finishers, and it showed today for sure.
Who's the man of the match of this game? Player that stood out?
For me, seriously, Marcel Ruiz on the Mexican side, and since it was a tie, maybe we could put in a Japanese player there. I don't know, maybe Endo. Endo, I thought was really good. Minamino was very active, but offensively couldn't convert anything. He had a hell of a volley that almost went in, but he ended up skying it. But I'll go Ruiz just because I was really looking for him to see if he could dominate, at least just from his play style, and I thought he did. He was really good in breaking pressure when he did get those chances on the ball.
After seeing South Korea defeat the USA today, what are the thoughts for Mexico going into their next friendly against South Korea?
I'm expecting a result against South Korea. I really am. I see the Koreans as having a weak defense, but a very elite offense. I'll be looking for that to see how Mexico's defense does against a better offense, in my opinion. But I want to see Mexico get the goals, especially against a weaker defense. I expect it. So a good 0-0 here today. Now I want Mexico to go on and win.
Yeah, in the prediction video, I'd say that we would win one and tie one. We just got the tie here. 1-0 victory against South Korea. That's what I'm predicting.
When it comes to the two best teams in Asia, I do think it's Japan and South Korea. Who are you more afraid to play against? Because I think you could say Japan probably are the better team, but looking at today's games, USA playing South Korea and Mexico playing Japan, and just looking at the more recent World Cup qualifying games, I think I'd actually be more scared to play against South Korea just because of their X-Factor players.
I think South Korea is a more realized team. I think they're closer to their potential than what Japan is. But I think Japan has a higher potential, and if they unlock it, would be a more scary team. So I'll go Japan on this one, because I think if they can figure out their troubles in the final third against higher level defenses, then that's the only part they have to figure out. Their defense is pretty good. Midfield is really, really good. Build up play. Everything else looks really solid. They figure that out. They're a complete team, I think. And so I'm going to go with them because I'm hoping that they can do that once the World Cup comes. But as of right now, like today, it would be South Korea. It would be South Korea. Folks, let us know. What did you think about today's 0-0 result between Mexico and Japan? Give me your predictions for the South Korea game coming up. And comment down below your man of the match for today. Oh no, what player stood out to you the most from either team? Till next time, guys. Peace.
次は解説です。今回もよく使える便利な表現がいくつかありましたので、早速本日の解説をチェックしてみましょ
う。Their ball movement was mesmerizing at times.
メスメライズは動詞で人を魅了するや心を奪うという意味があります。もともとは18世紀に医師であるフランツ・メスメルが行った動物磁気という催眠術の研究に由来していて、そこからメスメライズイコール催眠術をかけるという意味が生まれました。現代英語ではもっと日常的に目を奪うやうっとりさせるというニュアンスで使われます。ファッシネートやキャプティベートとも近い意味ですが、より強く引き込まれるイメージがあります。覚えておくと表現力がぐっと豊かになります。
Their ball movement was mesmerizing at times. Their ball movement was mesmerizing at times. The result ends up being a stalemate.
ステルメイトは、もともとチェスの専門用語で、王がチェックメイトされていないが動ける場所がなく、勝敗がつかない状態を意味します。この意味から転じて、日常会話では、行き詰まりや、膠着状態を表す便利な単語になりました。例えば交渉や国際関係、ビジネスの会議などで、話が進まない状況を説明するときに使えます。また、スポーツでは、引き分けに近いニュアンスでも使われます。トイックなどの試験よりも、ニュース記事や国際情勢の話題でよく見かける単語です。
The result ends up being a stalemate. The result ends up being a stalemate.
That's the most frustrating part for sure.
リストレーンは、抑えるや静止するという意味を持つフォーマルな動詞です。感情を抑えるときにも、人を物理的に抑えるときにも使えます。例えば、リストレーンワンズアンガーといえば、怒りを抑えるという意味になります。ニュースでは、拘束や制圧の文脈でもよく登場します。コントロールやホールドバックと似ていますが、より強い制御や公的な静止をイメージすると理解しやすいです。フォーマルな表現なので、ビジネス英語やニュース英語の語彙力を高めたい人には必須の単語です。
That's the most frustrating part for sure. That's the most frustrating part for sure. To break the deadlock.
デッドロックは、物事が前に進まない、行き詰まりを表す便利な単語です。もともとは、動けない状態を意味し、交渉や会議、政治の対立などでよく使われます。例えば、議論が膠着状態に陥ったという場合や、スポーツでは、試合が動かないや、決着がつかない場面でも使われます。似た表現に、ステルメイトやグライドロックがありますが、デッドロックは、ビジネスやニュース記事で特によく登場します。覚えておくと、議論や交渉の場面を表現するときにとても役立つ語彙です。
To break the deadlock, it almost felt like a passing of the guard, man.
パッシングオブザガードは、比喩的な表現で、世代交代や新しいリーダーへの移行を意味します。もともとは、衛兵交代という儀式的なイメージから来ていますが、現代では日常的に使われます。例えばスポーツなら、ベテランから若手にエースの座が移る瞬間。ビジネスなら、CEO の交代。社会なら、時代の移り変わりといった場面に使えます。似た表現に、チェンジング・オブ・ザ・ガードもありますが、パッシング・オブ・ザ・ガードはより、自然な世代交代というニュアンスを持つことが多いです。ニュース記事やインタビューでもよく見かける表現なので、覚えておくと理解力がぐっと高まります。
It almost felt like a passing of the guard, man. It almost felt like a passing of the guard, man. To add more attacking prominence.
プラミネンスは、目立つことや重要性、著名さを表す名詞です。語源は、前に突き出すという意味の単語から来ており、物理的に突き出たものを指すこともあります。日常会話やニュース記事では、社会的に注目されるや、大きな存在感を持つという意味でよく使われます。例えば、come to prominenceは、頭角を表すや、注目を浴びるという表現で品質です。トイックのような試験では比較的フォーマルな文章で出てくることがあり、ビジネス英語にも役立つ単語です。
To add more attacking prominence. To add more attacking prominence.
いかがでしたか？試合前には、怪我人も続出し、 初めて組むようなディフェンス陣の連携を心配していましたが、試合後には、守備は全く問題なかった、という評価だったように見えます。板倉も負傷してしまったのは、さらに不安にさせるものですが、瀬古もまずまず、渡辺は安定感あり、ロングフィードも素晴らしく、途中出場の関根もまずまずで、メキシコのチャンスが多くなかったのもありますが、大きな穴は見えないようでした。結果的にはポゼッション率もメキシコの方が上だったようですが、本当に崩されたようなチャンスはほとんど与えず、ロングボールやセットプレーの一発でやられそうな危険は常に感じたものの、どちらかといえば、いつ日本が得点を取れるか、という試合で、やはり堅い守備に対し、攻めあぐねた感が否めません。中盤でワンタッチで剥がしていっても、シュートまでたどり着けなかったり、高い位置でボールを奪ってシュートまで行ったり、渡辺のロングフィードなどでも、いくつかチャンスもありましたが、やはりもう少し、サイドからの突破やクロス、ポケットや裏へのランニングで、ディフェンスを下げさせ、攻め立てる展開も欲しかったなと感じました。それでもメキシコ自慢のセンターバック含め、守備が硬かったのも事実で、決定力を含めた攻撃面の改善は、また次戦以降に期待したいと思います。正直、少し残念な気持ちですが、またアメリカ戦を楽しみにしたいと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。